Hey San Diego, welcome back to the Apartment Geek Weekly. I'm your host Chris Robinson, and it's the end of December 2019. Happy holidays to everybody. And first off, I'm excited to talk about an event that I'm co-hosting in the new year, January 16, at a really cool spot off Miramar Road called The Vault. And it's a fancy car storage space. And it's called, the title of the event is Rent Control, What Now? We've got an amazing panel of specialists within the real estate arena, from Alan Nevin, the economist, to Mike McDevitt, one of the biggest commercial appraisers in town for apartment buildings, to Rick Alter, who does a lot of landlord protection law, has been spearheading a lot of the rent control stuff. Molly Kirkland, who I met with Alan Pentico with the Apartment Association, and they spoke at they were the keynote speaker at my Landlord Forum event last year, 2018. So we're doing this panel. I'm co-hosting it with Kenny Simpson and Crystal Moore. January 16, fancy cars, informative rent control, landlord stuff, what you can do, can't do, what's smart to do, what's silly to do, and food and drink. So there's going to be a separate email, and I think it's going to be a pretty big event. So if you're interested, register for that. It requires an RSVP to do that. So this week, what I thought would be interesting to talk about for a minute or two is what comes from a approach that some large corporations take, called zero cost strategy or zero cost average. And it's basically, I thought we could apply this to apartment building. It's basically taking an assessment at the end of the year or beginning of the year, or when you do your taxes, of what you're spending your money on with your expenses in your corporation, or in this case in our apartment complexes. I see so many profit loss statements with so many landlords and management companies that are just complacent, and they've been paying for something over and over and over, and we know a lot of expenses keep going up: insurance, trash removal, gardening, all kinds of stuff that's on our apartment building expense list. And I was thinking, we're in an environment now where rent control statewide is constricting us on what we can do from an income standpoint. It's going to be especially crucial to really be intimately aware of what we're spending our money on, to keep our NOI healthy and keep the value of the real estate healthy if we decide to sell it or refinance it, etc. So look at your expense line item on what you spent that year. Zero cost strategies is really cool kind of mental strategy where you almost put a zero budget to a certain expense, and then you figure out what you're willing to pay for it. Obviously we can't dictate what the water is going to cost or certain things, but we can really get aware of where we're getting ripped off, where there may be new competition. I've seen a lot of people with trash bins, removal bins, that are paying way too much money, and either a phone call or entertaining competition can help reduce that expense for the next year. Gardening, all kinds of stuff that people are just in the habit of paying for, and they're not really getting the value from that, or there's a more cost-effective option out there. So a gentleman, Tom Deverall, who's a mentor of mine in my SAGE Executive Forum, which I've mentioned in the past, I had Andrew Figali on here a couple months ago. Influential business leaders in San Diego who think creatively is a nice way to describe the event, the forum that we have. Tom was a CEO of a billion-dollar company for many years, oversaw thousands of employees, and has kind of taught us some pretty cool things to implement to make your company, or in this case your apartment building, run effectively and to be as cost effective as possible. So I thought it was the appropriate theme or discussion for the end of the year, because we're all going to be dealing with end of the year profit loss statements, how did our asset do, and then taxes coming up, obviously, where we want to have a profit loss that's put together, when we file our taxes. So hopefully that helps. And if you are somewhat tuned into this business, I know there's a lot of people that don't really care, but if you're trying to grow, you're trying to keep things efficient with your apartment assets, come to the event January 16th. I think it's going to be really cool, informative, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I mentioned the cars and the food and all that fancy stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and reach out if I can help you sell anything, evaluate something, try to buy bigger assets, etc. as we go into the new year. Apartments are gold. Nothing's changing with that long term. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.